And we're live. Okay.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. For those of you who are joining us live, thanks for taking the time to join us. If you're watching this in replay, we hope you view and see some very valuable content. My name is E.R. Wolf. I'm a founder, co-founder, and CEO over here at Elify. I am joined by a good friend of mine. Okay, he's the founder. He is the head chef over at Kitchen Traffic. I think we had it as the brand chef. And he's going to be talking with us about multiplying your sales. And I'm so excited. I've known Scott for a while here. This is Scott Webb, who is next to me on this screen. He's going to be presenting on this topic as part of our mastermind series that we're kicking off here. Again, we're going to be talking about multiplying our sales by maximizing the customers and the referrals that you already have. And one of these goals with the mastermind series is to take all of the tools and tech that we are providing you with Elify and really find ways to maximize the use of those things in your business. And I'm so excited to have Scott on today because I know, Scott, you and I have known each other for years now. We've crossed paths in multiple different ways. I always feel like I pick up more and more knowledge every time we talk about things. And I know there's so many similarities between the way we view things, the way we view business, the operations, the way we can leverage technology, and even some of the counterintuitive things that we might be chasing rabbits down holes over here, not realizing that we're missing out on vital gold that's sitting right in front of us. So without further ado, everybody, Scott Webb, Kitchen Traffic, thank you.
Hey, ER, I appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time out of your super busy stay from shelter at home. And at least I think we're 60 feet apart, 600 feet apart, 6,000 feet apart, something like that. I'm actually just south of you in Castle Rock, and we're getting pretty maximum flurries right now. I don't know what the weather's like out your window.
Yeah, I've almost got about a half a foot outside, so I was a little bit delayed coming in to get on this. And it's so much easier when we are sheltered in place, doing everything virtually all of the time, even though you are so close. But stay warm and stay safe out there.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a pleasure to, have a chance to talk to your audience and your customers and the folks that are using your technology and platform. And I'm not here to sell anything. This is a true on training event. And obviously, we're going to try and walk you through this tool that we've created over the last 18 months. And we know we won't be able to do it all today. So we've got some ways for your folks to download the Elify Apple Orchard worksheet. It's scrolling across the bottom there. Again, just go to kitchentraffic.com/apple-elify -Elify, and there's a worksheet and a workbook. So print those out. I've got mine right here. Oh, there's the camera. And with that worksheet and workbook, this is what we'll be going through today. So we'll be showing people how to use this tool right here. And people are like, well, Elify is an app. Where's your app? This is it. It's very interestingly a surprisingly simple, very effective. In fact, it's so simple, you might even discount it. So we warn you not to discount it. But we'll go through just a little brief presentation about who we are, how we kind of came across this tool, and how, again, we can now offer that to you. And the thing about it, this is, and we'll, as we get into our presentation, this is free. This isn't we're not going to try and suck you into a membership or a program at the end of this. This is just a tool that we found works extremely well to help a company, a business, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, just focus in on the relationships they've built. And from there, be able to find what we call this low-hanging fruit. And so we'll get into that in a minute.
So if they're watching us live right now, again, you can see it scrolling across the screen. Don't worry about printing that out. Make sure you've got your notebook. Take some copious amounts of notes. Come back and watch the replay. If you're watching this in replay, hit pause. Go on ahead and print that out. Again, kitchentraffic.com. You can see it scrolling, Apple-Elify, and get that material, again, completely free, so you can follow along with this. You're going to get the best value out of this training, guys. There's going to be a lot of knowledge that Scott's about ready to drop. I was blown away with how, in concept, it is simple, but the impact is so powerful. So thanks, Scott, for providing that material.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, in our presentation or the training that we're going to do today, absolutely, we built this little worksheet for you, but you can literally just use a notepad or a napkin, or if you've got if you're super fancy and you have your iPad with your pen, use that too. But either way, all the materials that we're talking about today will be available on that link. And of course, we've actually added this to our Shuffle app, and I'm not sure if I got it to work before we could roll out with our training. But I know today, at least give it a couple hours after after this, we'll have it working, and I'll have it in my Shuffle app. So anyhow, without further ado, let's get into it. It's going to be about 30 minutes. Again, we won't be able to cover everything in detail, but we certainly will be here to answer your questions. And then, of course, follow up with either ER or myself, and we'll give you all that contact information as well. So let's see. I've got this part here.
Yeah, I think you're going to present some stuff. So everybody, I might be going away, but I'll be here viewing just like you, and I'll be back at the end to join in with some questions and stuff. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, and you're not going away. You're just shrunk. Oh. We just shrunk your head. So today is literally, if you're interested in multiplying, and who's not, especially with the current conditions that are happening right now, just finding a customer, much less a bunch of customers, may be one of the hardest tasks you have right now as a business owner. And so one of the things that we always talk about here at Kitchen Traffic is we love multiplying. But what we found is the ultimate multiplier is maximizing or optimizing what you already have. And if you've been in business for a month, if you've got one customer, two customers, maybe you've been in business for 5 years, 10 years, and you've got hundreds of customers, then you are all set. Because one of the things we're going to teach you today, it only takes one apple. It takes one apple to change the trajectory of your business, and we're going to show you how to do that. And this is some very tactical stuff. It's built on an underlying strategy of customer lifetime value, but this is a tactic that took us about 18 months to create. And once we built it, and I'll just give you guys this up front, once we built it, we had 63,700 new leads from our apple orchard. And that might sound like an absurd number, but I'll show you how we got there. And right now I'm just trying to get you 5. All right. So let's just focus on that. And
Scott, before you get into that, can you give us a little bit of a rundown? Because I think one of the things that was really powerful for me is, as a traditional business owner who might be out there getting customers, I feel like I'm the hunter-gatherer, right? I've got my spear and I'm just out there looking for the next potential customer, and always on the lookout, always trying to find that new client, but I'm drumming it up. It's all cold. Yeah. And you're saying, you know, ER, you've got gold in front of you. You don't need to be the hunter anymore, right? Be the farmer.
Yeah. So let's just be brutally honest. Acquiring new customers is extremely hard. It's very expensive, and it's extremely time consuming. And what we found as a marketing company, and I owned a digital marketing ad agency for 20 years, is we help do lead gen. Where's my next new customer? Where's my next new customer? Yeah. And what we found in 2018, 2019 is that companies, business owners, operators reached this plateau. It's like they couldn't find any new customers. And what had happened is, we just live in a society up until 6 weeks ago. It is so busy, so distracted. They've got so much on their plate. They don't have time to look at your stuff. And they don't care, because what they do know is they have 2 sources for finding someone to fix their problem. 1, they can Google it. 2, they can ask somebody. And that is the 2 things that we found were the most critical components of running a business. Is number 1, being found, so being visible online, and number 2, when somebody asks a friend, hey, do you know somebody that does XYZ? That's why Yelp and all the rating stuff and, the 5 stars and all that stuff is so important, because
Yeah.
people are looking for referrals or references that they can trust.
And word of mouth, right? We hear it over and over and over.
Yep.
Word of mouth, word of mouth. Yeah.
And so what I want you guys to understand as we go through this, it's going to be so simple, you're going to discount it. And what I'm telling you is don't discount it, because it led to $250,000 in new sales for us and tens of thousands of new leads. But I'm just going to show you today how we can at least get you 5. Okay. So let's move in. And here's the reason why we just kind of briefly talked about it, ER and I, but this is honestly what's going on right now. So a massive amount of change. And we've actually had this slide for about 2 months. So this is even prior to the coronavirus stuff that's been going on. But we realized that companies have just never had as hard a time as they have the last 4, 5, 6 months, a year in finding new customers. So we realized that things have changed. Now, one of the things we didn't realize was just what was going on, for 2020. And this is a generational shift, folks. The things that we're seeing right now, we may not ever see again in our lifetime. We might be called the greatest generation by the next generation. Who knows? Just for surviving this. But if you've been in business any amount of time, I imagine that right now is extremely critical that you get your stuff together so that you can, again, maximize the things that you already have. And we're going to talk about people as we really delve into this training. But the other problem is what's being created right now is there's this social distancing. People aren't allowed to be in meetups. We're not allowed to network. We're not the traditional handshaking, baby kissing way. And right now there's a lot of distrust, especially people walking around in masks. I mean, come on. You go around in a grocery store and all you can see is people's eyes. You don't know if you're going to get robbed or if it's your neighbor. So right now there's a lot of distrust. And so what we're going to keep harping on for this entire presentation or this entire training is you need to go back to the people that you've already worked with. And we're going to show you how to do that. So another one is that 84% of all businesses have no written or formal strategy to nurture or engage their existing or past customers. Meaning, I got a customer, I sold them something, I'm on to the next. And my partner, Kelly Fox, she calls that the drive-through mentality, which is you took your order, here's your burger, next. Took your order, here's your burger, next. And for the person that's running the window, all they want to do is just get to the next car. As a business owner, that's a really dangerous mentality and expensive, as we told you. So our goal today is helping you understand that all the new customers and growth and sales and profits all exist in the customers you've already dealt with. So we can help you build your business, increase your brand equity, grow your profits around customer lifetime value. So I want you to kind of keep that word in the back of your head. We call it CLV for short. A lot of accountants use that word because in big companies, lifetime value is king. What we're introducing to you is how the people that you've already met, the customers you've already obtained, can provide an endless amount of customer lifetime value for you. So I'm a stat guy. So these are my 3 key stats. Is that 87% of consumers will no longer answer their phone or reply to text or emails they do not recognize. So maybe you get that. I get the one that says, I get about 50 of these a day.
I know.
Says spam, some kind of call, spam something. And I'm like, I just let it go to voicemail. And most of the time it's a sales call, somebody wanting to sell me insurance. So if you're out cold calling, cold emailing, cold texting, you realize that's a kind of man, that's a thankless job. And so now listen, there are some guys that are really good at it. So I'm not discounting that process. What I'm showing you today is a much more efficient and effective way to generate new business. So here's the other thing: the cost of acquiring a new customer has risen over 400%. So if anybody does Facebook ads or they do any kind of platform marketing, Google AdWords, any of that stuff, the price per click is just gone up and up and up and up. And so it's gotten very expensive to keep finding that new customer. Here's this one's my favorite, the impression. It's the 7 impressions. Do you remember that, ER?
Yeah.
So that's an old ad agency ploy that said somebody had to see an ad, a billboard, a magazine article, a bus, a bus ad on the side of a bus. They had to see that brand or that message up to 7 times before they took action. So in recent studies, they're saying that number is 21 to 33, which so here's what I'm saying. If you post something on Facebook and it says, hey, come buy my stuff, you need to post that one thing 21 to 33 times. And how many people do that? They don't. Every day they create a new piece of content. So I just tell people, pick a good piece of content and post that sucker like 3 dozen times, and you might get somebody to click on it. So again, these are all tactics, super time consuming. Most of them are, if you're going to pay for that, it's very expensive. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this, there's no hook here. We're not sending a sign up sheet. In fact, when you go to download the worksheet and the workbook, there's not even we don't even ask for your email or anything like that. So, and to buy.
I think Don on our social already posted, like, I can't believe there's not even an opt-in or something like that to get the material. So guys, this is free information for your benefit, all educational. Again, big kudos and thanks to Scott for providing it.
Yeah, I mean, look, how many people go into a restaurant, or at least up until a few weeks ago, and what if the waitress came over and said, how can I help you? And you're like, well, we don't even have a menu yet. And she's like, oh, well, here, opt into our email and I'll give you a menu, right?
That's right.
How stupid is that? Don't you hate it when you go to these sites and they're like, hey, download our free report, but first enter your email and your blood type and your kid's, birthday. And I'm like, forget it. So one of the things I'm going to tell you guys, and this is completely honest, we built this for us. Okay. We built this tool for us. And when we applied it, and it literally in one day transformed our business, and we were like, this can't be that simple. And when it translated into $250,000 in new sales, we were like, we're on to something. But I didn't come up with this. Okay. So this is the new word of mouth. This is taking what you already have built. So we didn't invent this. This isn't like, we woke up one day and we had this epiphany. What we found is we wanted to find a better way to take care of our customers, customer lifetime value.
Yep.
But we also wanted to not have to spend a ton of money in advertising. We have not spent one dime in Facebook ads ever.
Well, and if I can just chime in there, Scott, because here's the key, everybody. If you've listened to the 2 variables that Scott has talked about, right? Customer lifetime value, and then that cost of the customer or cost per acquisition going up by 400% on that previous slide. Like, your business is based on the arbitrage between what it takes to get a customer and the value that they bring to your business. And what Scott is going to talk about here is how to maximize that lifetime value over time and minimize that cost per acquisition, because they're actually going to be marketing for you and taking you into that next customer by what we'll learn on really going through the apple orchard here.
Yeah. So thank you for clarifying that, because that is true. So when we say customer lifetime value, that's not, some marketing term. It is literally, in our world, it's the only metric that you need to measure by. Now you can do other KPIs and stuff like that from there, but if you built your business around customer lifetime value, then what that really means is every customer you get is bringing you a new customer, and they're bringing you a new customer, and they're bringing you a new customer. And sure, you have churn, you have people die, you have people, retire, they figure they don't need that service anymore. But if you do CLV right, those people will bring you all the business, all the new business you could ever want. And one of the things I want to clarify as we get into this is not about downlines or pyramids or trying to convince your brother-in-law to join up, join your band. This isn't even about getting your customer that you already have to buy more from you.
Mm-hmm.
This is just getting that person, that individual, to recommend you and to refer you. And again, most people do not have a formal system to do that. Well, today you do. That day is gone. Today you have a formal system, which we're going to introduce to you. All right. So just briefly, I'm nobody important. I've just been doing this crap for a long, long time. And I've worked with some billion-dollar brands, and we have grown hundreds and hundreds of companies, 6 figures to 7 figures, 7 figures to 8 figures, yada, yada. Sales is sales. Dollars is dollars. But one of the things that I really appreciate about my career is it's led to this moment, which is, instead of trying to get new customers, which is what every company wants, even the big companies that you have up on my slide right here, all they want is new customers. So how many here are like T-Mobile, AT&T, Xfinity customers? When's the last time they sent you anything other than, upgrade or subscribe to some new service or whatever? Yet in your mailbox, you'll get a postcard for $700 off for a new subscriber. And you're like, hey, I'll take that. So you call and you're like, hey, I got this postcard. And they're like, oh, it looks like you're already an existing customer. And you're like, yeah, but I want the offer that's on my postcard. And they're like, well, that's for new subscribers only.
Right.
Oh my gosh, dude. I swear, if I didn't need these companies, I don't know what I'd do. I'm ready to go to Mars. So come on, Elon Musk, let's do this. And this is my partner, Kelly. Kelly is a fantastic CEO. She's actually the owner, the boss of me, and runs our company. But she's 20 years sales and marketing veteran. She's run thousands of webinars. She's done $100 million deals with big financial service companies. So together, her and I found that there's this value in nurturing and keeping the customers you already have, not just happy, but you want them to refer you. So are you ready to get started? Because we're going to go right into the training. And here's 2 metaphors that we're going to be using. It's called apple orchard for a reason. First of all, this is your apple tree. This is your customer. This is the guy that bought from you, or you've delivered on your promise, or you've created a relationship, and maybe it's not even a customer. We'll talk about that trees don't always have to be customers, but inside of that apple tree are apples. And now some apple trees have more apples than others, obviously. Some are lower. The apples are just right there. You can reach them from the ground. Some you got to find a ladder and you got to climb that tree. Some trees are very, very tiny. Thus, the apples are very, very small. And then some trees are just like, so ripe. You can see the apples from the road. So understand the metaphor here is apple trees are the people you have built relationships with. That can be your customer. That could be a mentor. Could be a boss. Maybe it's somebody you used to work for or do work for. Maybe it's somebody that's influential within your circle. So we'll talk about that here in our worksheet. All right, so here it is. This is the worksheet and the workbook. Yours will look a little different because it's been Elify'd. So the new ones that you'll download, that you go to the Elify page and you'll see that scrolling below. That will be your workbook and your worksheet. So print out one of each. Again, right now, just take notes because you don't necessarily need this specifically, but we'll show you how it works. All right, so now we're going to zoom in. Let's just pretend you printed your worksheet. So here's the first 3 columns, and we'll walk through these columns here. Now, the worksheet that you have has 8 slots. So if you go to step 1, you could literally put 8 names in there. But today we're just going to do a couple. So step 1 is the tree. So again, this is the person that you've built a relationship with. And in my case, I have customers, I have influencers, and I have mentors in mine. And I'll show you how that works. So they don't have to be customers. But in my orchard tree, how we got 63,000 leads in I don't know, about 2 hours of doing our apple orchard worksheet, the majority of those are my customers. So now, in step one, you want to focus on the best of the best. And here's how you know who the best are. They will actually return your call or text. If you are chasing and they're ghosting, they do not belong in the tree. Or if it's somebody you think, yes, they belong in the tree, but they're still ghosting you, maybe you need to do a better job nurturing that relationship. So
Scott, real quick there. If I make my list and you've got me 8 slots, but maybe I'm putting in 2 names per slot, so I've got 16 names there, and I'm going through. If I'm not hearing back from somebody, like you said, maybe it's an opportunity for me to continue to nurture that relationship, water that tree, put some fertilizer on it. Really make sure I'm helping that customer see the value that I'm bringing. Otherwise, there's a reason why they're not returning your phone call, getting back to you, etc. But the ones who are, that's my tree. I'm ready to start down this path. So we're looking for the ones who are already engaged. You already have an established relationship. They maybe have reordered from you or not reordered, and in some cases might not even be a customer yet, but they're still somebody who you have an existing relationship with.
Yes. And just to clarify, it's 1 name per box.
Got it.
So in our Apple Orchard worksheet, we put 8 names, and the 8 names equaled over 60,000 new leads. Okay. So here's the way it works. All right. Number 1, the name. This is that guy, that person. They might even have expressed, and this is very interesting, they might even have expressed something to this effect. Hey, ER. Hey, Scott. Hey, Mike. If you ever need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
And you get that probably a lot, but you know the ones that are sincere.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a tree. And that may not even be a person that you ever, heck, it could be something you bought somebody, maybe a guy that sold you a car.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, and after you bought the car and you kind of hit it off and you connect, and he's like, hey, man, if you ever need anything, let me know. I know a lot of people. That goes in your tree. That goes in the box. Okay. So I want you to think now, and here's an easy way to do this. Pull this little guy out right here.
Yeah, right. We've all got it.
Open it up and start going through your contacts. And I swear, now I've got about 1,400 people in my contacts, but you know who the ones are because they're at the top. They're the ones you call the most. They're the ones you text the most. And if you're using your Shuffle app and your Shuffle CRM, you'll know who those are too. So again, pull this guy out, open up your Shuffle app, and understand who you have these unique relationships with. All right. So here's another way, they'll go in your tree, in the step 1, the tree. They might have invited you to their kid's wedding. They might have invited you to their house in the Caymans. They might have offered up their vacation home because, hey, they think you're cool. Now, we don't all have relationships like that with every customer, but I swear the majority of people have 1 or 2 people that are like that. So again, this doesn't have to be customers. These can be influencers, circles of influence for you, but you need to have a relationship. And if you're like, hey, there's this guy, he's super cool, but he doesn't pay me any attention. Well, there's your target. There's you something to go nurture. And maybe you need to do a little pruning. Maybe you need to offer up some fertilizer. Maybe there's some way, and we'll talk about how to maximize your relationship with the tree. Okay. So again, step number one, the tree, that is the name of this person that has some type of deeper relationship or circle of influence with you. All right. This is number 2, step number 2. And this is so critical. This is their story. And the reason why you can't just skip from step 1 to step 3 is because their story matters. And if you don't know some of the details, you don't need to know what their favorite ice cream is, but you need to know something about them. So what I did is I put in mine how we met. So like ER and I met through LinkedIn, man, 4 or 5 years ago. All right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and then I know like my relationship with ER, um, I know about his family. I know about his eating habits. I know, I've sat on his back porch and done a podcast. I mean, those are important details. Now, if you have a ton of customers, you can probably not say, well, I've done that with every one of them. But what I am saying is find out a little bit more about them. Go deep. What was their birthday? Are they married? How long have they been married? Where do they live? Where do they like to vacation? Dude, you can stalk anybody on Facebook. I mean, you may even find out some other details on LinkedIn about this individual. So again, this is understanding their story, and this is going to help you develop step 3. So if you skip step 1, or if you go to step 1 to step 3 of, okay, here's Bob, and Bob, you know, is the head of the Chamber of Commerce, and that means if I can get in with Bob, then I can get in with all of the chamber members. That's not the point. The
yeah,
point is these need to be some relationships that have meaning, that have equity. And if you want, hey, look, I'm not saying don't have a relationship with Bob, but build something, get some equity with that tree. All right. So now that you understand their story, and please, 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 the more detail, the better. If you don't know your number 1, number 2, number 3 customers' kids' names, shame on you. So if you don't know when your number 1 or number 2 or number 3 customer started their business, shame on you, because this is opportunity for you to send a congratulatory card on the 10th anniversary of them opening their company. This is when their kids graduate from high school, this is simply sending a gift card for $50 to, I don't know, Wingstop, for their senior that's graduating. Do you know how far that stuff goes, dude? Oh
right.
my gosh, it goes
Well,
miles.
and we know people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So if you haven't developed a relationship, right, to your point, it's not just knowing their name and how to get a hold of them and what you want to ask them for. It's knowing all those relationship details about who they are and what they like, and how you help each other. That they're going to be, oh wow, I'm willing to open up my apples to you.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's the perfect way. Thank you for that segue, because this is literally about people letting you have access to their apples
Mm-hmm.
and doing it willingly. Not with, I mean, you can coerce somebody enough to say, hey, let me have access to your network. But when you have a relationship and they willingly do it, the value there is, I mean, it's just amazing. So let's go into some detail here. So I'm going to show you what we did in our apple orchard. Now, I did change the names to protect the innocent,
Yep.
but these are real individuals in my world, and I just changed the names a little bit. But the prominent component of this is, here's Ed, here's Dan, and here's Sherry. And so Ed, I met through LinkedIn. We've collabed on a few projects together. He's married. He's got daughters. They love the outdoors. Um, and the Stanford grad. All right. So he's one of those trees, the tree icon that a Stanford graduate is. So whatever the tree is, I guess it's because it's Northern California. But so here's their apples. All right. So my relationship with Ed is pretty strong. So here's what I know about Ed. He has 700 small business customers. He's also a director for a entrepreneurs group in Austin. So not only does he have people that I could help and work with in small business customers, but he also is on an entrepreneurs club with about 1,500 members. His wife is also the president of a bank. So even if Ed didn't have those apples or those individuals that I could help, his wife is also president of a bank. And guess who banks have? Customers, lots of them, of business owners and just regular consumers. So because of my relationship with Ed, I have access to his database, and we're building and we've collabed on a few projects already, but we're going to be helping him cement and solidify some of his customers, help them grow. We're also going to be doing some stuff with the Entrepreneurs Club in Austin, and we're going to be working with his wife to help some of her small business banking customers. So Ed, just for me personally, is 3 apples that are almost their own orchards in themselves. Does that make sense?
So this is why, absolutely.
This is why I'm saying it takes, this is how I'm going to prove to you. It takes 1 apple to change the trajectory of your business. 1. After I put Ed in, I didn't even need to put Dan or Sherry in. I mean, I could build a business just off of helping Ed's customers and working with him and helping his business grow, and the Entrepreneurs Club and his wife. I mean, just that alone is enough business for most people, more than enough business than they can handle in a year. All right. Now, depending on your product, I mean, someone like ER, certainly we could turn on 700 new customers to Shuffle. But if you're like me, I can't onboard 700 new customers. There's no way. So guess what I built? I built a tool that in the meantime, I can help his customers maximize what they already have. And then out of that, there might be a handful or 10 or 12 or 20 that say, hey, I like what kitchen traffic represents. I'm interested in customer lifetime value too. You know, how do we work together? But the point of this is, don't go after the tree simply because of their apples. In fact, I'm going to tell you this right away. I didn't even know his wife was the president of a bank. I didn't even know he was the head of an entrepreneurs club. All I knew is he had some small business customers. That's it. And as I'm doing my research, I'm finding out how big his orchard really is. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. Here's Dan, and I'm not going to go through all the details of these because I think you guys can get the picture of how quickly 1 apple or apple tree can turn into a lot of apples. Now, I know people are like, well, I sell this or I sell that. This would never work for me because I'm in a, it takes 6 months or a year for me to close a deal, blah, 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 blah. All right. All I can say is, I don't care what your sales cycle is. It could be order now, click here, whip your credit card out. It could be maybe you sell a piece of equipment, to a fiber optic company, and it takes 6 to 8 months just to close the deal. The point of this is understand who your apple trees are and understand who your apples are, and you will fill a pipeline, my friends, so fat and thick. The baskets underneath some of these trees are going to be so full, you're going to have to figure out how to work with those people. Now, if you're saying, well, I can only work with so many customers a month or a week or in a sales cycle, well, here's how you become a freaking rock star within your own circle of influence. If you fall upon a tree that's got a lot of apples and you can't help them directly, but you know somebody that could, you refer that out. And then you create a relationship, and now you become an apple tree. And so, for instance, in one of our exercises, we uncovered one of our clients actually owns a couple of other companies that we didn't know about. Well, one of those companies represents 63,000 physicians. Now, we don't necessarily do a lot of work with physicians, but we have relationships with companies that would love to work with physicians. So now we became this nice little tight collaborative orchard, and we're all feeding each other business. And out of that, for us personally, we have tens of thousands of physicians that we can refer, and they need very specific things that kitchen traffic doesn't do or the ER doesn't do. But now, because I've been referring those physicians or this network per se, or this orchard, I look like a rock star. Mm-hmm. And now people come to me. So if you can't serve all of them, if you can't serve any of them, doesn't matter. Find somebody that can. Build your own orchard of individuals that can serve those folks, and you will find that you, again, it's the referrals beget referrals. So when you refer, somebody's going to refer back to you. It's not a theory. It is the actual truth in sales. Okay. Before we move on, I just want to highlight the workbook here. So the workbook is part 2 of the worksheet. It's on the downloads for you guys on the kitchentraffic.com/apple-Elify. But the workbook is how you maximize all the referrals that you come up with on your worksheets. Does that make sense? So my suggestion, grab tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday when you're having your mimosa or your coffee or your cappuccino, download the workbook and read through it. And then grab your worksheet, and the workbook is going to literally uncover hundreds and hundreds, dare I say it, hundreds of new opportunities you probably haven't even thought about. And here's why this is so important. What I'm showing you today, guys, is a referral system. This isn't some, cool marketing tactic that, you can try it out and, we hope we can increase your ROI. That's not what this is. This is a referral system. You apply this system into your business on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You will never go hunting again. Now, you might want to go hunting. I still do hunting a little bit. We have a project that we're working on right now, and we want to keep our hunting skills intact, but at the same time, it's not something I have to do. So all I'm saying is if you use this referral system and read through the workbook. So we did this training. We've done probably a dozen of these trainings so far this year. We have 35 more of these scheduled for the rest of the year, ER. And one of the things that I keep finding is people go, because we follow up, hey, how did you come up with your trees? Yeah, but I don't know how to I don't really know how to apply it. Did you read the workbook? Oh no.
So read the workbook, everybody. Download it. Yeah.
Read the workbook. And again, listen, here's the only follow-up I have. If you guys have questions, hit me up, scott@kitchentraffic.com. You can hit ER up, but if you have a question about Apple Orchard specifically, he'll just forward it to me. But anything you have specific to your business, you have a question, you're like, I don't, I created the list, but I don't really see how it fits. We've got some awesome video content, but I'm happy to jump on a call or video chat with you guys and show that to you. In fact, we could even do a longer, like where I get on my whiteboard and I literally break down specific to you. So yesterday we did a training with a marketing agency, and here's all I can share with you is Arlen. Arlen was the only name they could come up with. This is their top sales guy at this agency. And he didn't think Arlen was going to be a good enough tree because he didn't have a great relationship with him. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have a client that I had only met for a lunch prior to introducing Apple Orchard to him. And he became a client, and he turned us on to his 13 companies that he's an investor in. So this doesn't have to be somebody, that did invite you to the Caymans. You're like, well, nobody's ever invited me to the Caymans, so I don't have anybody that can go in the trees. That is false, negative, wrong answer. You could have as little of a formal relationship as a prior lunch, but somebody that's truly interested in helping you, seeing you succeed, and then they know if you're trying to help them or you're just trying to sell them. So the relationship doesn't have to be, this 6-year long thing. It could be, you had a lunch. I had a lunch with Eric. So Arlen, this guy that we did yesterday in our training, all of a sudden turned into, I can't remember how many hundreds of apples they have an opportunity now to work with. It was pretty dramatic. So we've got some case studies to show you that this is actually works. So just again, I'm a stat guy. So check this out. 93% of all customers surveyed said they would give a referral if asked. However, only 11% of businesses actually ask for a referral.
God, I've got to chime in there. Guys, think about this. I can almost guarantee you right now, again, most of you are probably not harvesting your apple orchard because you're just learning about it now and you're out there hunting. And to Scott's earlier slide, that cost of hunting out there has gone up by 400%. 93%, guys, 93% would give a referral if they were asked. And only 1 out of 10 people is asking for them, guys. This is the key here. If anything that you take away make sure you're going through building your orchard and then doing the ask. After you've done that story and you're moving on to that third column, like start to see what apples exist. If you're not asking for the apples or even going out for the harvest, you guys are going to miss out on all of that opportunity. And hands down, to Scott's point, it exists no matter what your business is. If you have an existing customer or an existing relationship, you have an orchard to go after.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of harp on that point a little bit, if you are the one asking for the referrals and you have a system that where it doesn't feel awkward, it feels natural. This is it, guys. This is a formal written referral strategy. So that leads me to my next stat. 84% of businesses surveyed have no written strategy. So that means look at all here. Let me tell you, there's two words I live by: market share. I steal market share like nobody's business because I'll do the things that most people aren't doing. And I'll do the things that are easy. I'm not talking about doing the hard things. I'll do the things that are easy. So my question to you is, do you think your business would improve if you actually had a written referral strategy? Pause for effect. I hope so. So 20, and you've probably heard this stat before, 20% of your existing customers will bring in 80% of your future revenue. So you don't have to stack. That's why there's only 8 boxes, by the way. When we originally created this, it had like 50.
Yeah.
But as we started filling out box number 1, box number 2, we're like, holy crap, hundreds of leads, thousands of leads, tens of thousands of leads. And I didn't even need to focus on trying to put every single customer in that column. I just focused on the ones. Now, could somebody down the list provide ample opportunities for you? Yeah, but maybe they're not in your top 3 because you haven't nurtured them.
Yep.
And maybe your top 3 are on autopilot and they're just sending you referrals like crazy. Well, great. Work on 4, 5, and 6. So they're sending you referrals like crazy. So again, let me clarify. This is not about selling your existing customers more of what you've got cooking. This isn't about beating them over the head, trying to upgrade them and offer them stacks. And, I mean, I've got a realtor. We work with a lot of realtors and they're like, well, this will never work because I can't get my customer buy more than once every, 5 to 7 years. And I'm like, this isn't about them buying a house from you every month. This isn't the Netflix of houses where they subscribe to, $500,000 a month and they get a new house every month. This is about taking that relationship that you have with that guy that bought that house. And if you nurture it right, using the workbook, because the workbook's going to show you how to do that, that guy will send you another closing and another closing and another closing. And then if you nurture those relationships, guess what they'll do? They'll send you another closing, and another closing. And I've got a fantastic case study. It's not in this proposal, but again, hit me up at scott@kitchentraffic.com and I'll happily share that with you, of one realtor who had been in business for only 8 months. And we found her a new opportunity to get dozens and dozens of new closings, new leads. So this is my kind of wrapping up our training here. But I'm going to ask this question: which one are you? Are you the dabbler, meaning you'll stick your foot in, you'll pony up the egg, but you won't really make any major changes? Or are you the pig? Think about what the pig has to sacrifice to give what he's giving, right? So there's the dabbler and there's the doer. And my suggestion here, here's a statistic I'm going to tell you. Only 5% of most people that sign up for weight loss, gyms, anything that's going to actually change their life will actually finish it. 5%.
Yeah.
So if you think you need to change your business's trajectory today, understand that 95% of you listening are probably not going to touch this thing after this training is over, but 5% of you might. And I'm telling you, if you're one of the 5% and you fill out your worksheet and you need some help, or you're actually interested in understanding where you can find 5, 10, 100, 1,000 new leads, I'll help you. So that's my commitment to you. Here's the case study I promised you. So on the left is a car wash. Okay, a car wash. Whoopee, you get your car clean. Not much of a customer experience. I mean, it's, kind of fancy, but you drive in the tunnel and you drive out the tunnel and you hope your car's clean, right? So this isn't like some kind of monumental, awesome service. This is a car wash. And here's what we're able to do. We're able to grow the revenue 40% over a year's time by creating a new process, a new subscription model based on customer lifetime value. And where did we find those customers? Through the existing customers they already had. We didn't spend one dime in ads. And other than like some regular emails, we did this organically, internally, and grew their business 40%. All right. Zero ad spend. All by leveraging and helping them understand who their apple trees were. And they have customers like everybody's got raving fans, right? We found the raving fans from the car wash and asked them to help promote the unlimited washes and the membership. And the membership, in fact, they're gonna top 5,000 members, monthly car wash members, and that puts them in the like 1% of elite car washes in the country. So the one on the right, $68,000 in sales online, and we grew that to $500,000 in 12 months off of their existing customers.
Amazing. And Scott, I think the big thing here for anybody who's been watching this thus far is it's simple, right? But the impact is so great. And I think that's something that I love about some of these best practices in business is there are truly things, guys. This is not rocket science. This is not brain surgery. This is not you're going to go have to spend all your time and energy doing. It is a simple process, but if you apply it, right, and take action on it and actually work it and do it as part of your business. The old saying I always like to think about is the definition of insanity is doing that thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And if you're out there only doing that, I've got to get a new customer, I've got to go out and market to get that customer, I need to go out and be hunting all the time, and you don't realize the forest of trees that you've planted behind you as they've sort of been going by and you've been servicing that customer, Scott has just provided you a way, a system, everything he's talked about, for you to implement in your business right now to start taking advantage of that. The example he had 3 names, but even just that one name alone opened up a whole new channel of potential customers and potential leads. So again, you might be one of those people who is going to take action on what you've learned today and apply these things in your business. And, even on that case study, a 40% or 50% increase in your business, I think everybody who's watching this right now would love to just add that. And the thing that jumped out to me the most on this, again, it's right in the middle, $0 in ad spend, guys. This is something that's within everybody's budget to do. So if you're out there right now, if you're at home right now, if you're working on building your business right now, this is the time to make that list of the trees that you have. Make sure that you understand those stories for each of those trees. And if you don't have a deep enough story, make sure you water that tree, make sure you fertilize that tree, make sure you develop that story, and move on to that step 3. You now have a plan. You have no excuse, guys, to go through and start picking some of those apples from your orchard and getting out there and harvesting.
Yeah, and I'll just jump on this last point. We're at our final slide here. So if you haven't downloaded the workbook and the worksheet, go to kitchentraffic.com/apple-elify. And the point that ER was just making is that this is not about, trying to, how should I put it? This isn't about trying to again, maximize the sale of every customer you meet. Like trying to move them into your max program or your max product offering. This is about nurturing a few people that will happily open up their contact list. And the other part of it too is you need to understand if you're having having an issue with step 3, it's probably because you don't understand who your customer is, your best customer. So if you're in a consumer product and you sell to consumers, then you need to understand and identify that customer down to the T. And if you're just thinking, well, anybody with money will buy my product, it'll be very hard for you to figure out who the apples are. Or what'll end up happening is you start barking up the wrong apple trees, and that'll just piss people off. But if you can provide some value and you understand who your customer is, you understand what business you're actually in, and you can provide value to the tree. So that's not just watering, but that's fertilizing and pruning and doing the things necessary to really nurture that relationship, not just because they have a bunch of apples. Listen, these guys are probably getting hit up all the time because there are people that understand how many apples they have, but all they want is to pick the apples. And if you're not doing anything to provide value to the tree, then what'll end up happening is you'll pick some apples or you'll pick them clean, and that's it. They'll never send you anything else. So this isn't about always trying to close and sell and, go out and hit your quotas by, utilizing and taking advantage of the tree. This is about understanding that the tree represents more apples, and each of those apples can eventually be their own tree or their own orchard. And for instance, if you go back to this slide, and I'll leave this presentation, I'll put a link on the landing page that we have for this actual slide deck so you can see it. It is about maximizing the tree. They will give you the apples, and sometimes all the apples you can handle, and you'll find in one of those apples is a whole new orchard. And that's why I'm saying it takes one apple, guys. It doesn't take 100. It takes one apple to change the trajectory of your business. So again, maximize what you have. And if you do that, you're going to multiply, multiply, multiply. And we're done.
Wow. I mean, wow. A lot of great information. Again, if you're watching this, Scott just dropped down a whole knowledge bomb on us all. Take an opportunity to go through to the Kitchen Traffic website, download that guide, download the workbook, rewatch this replay. It's going to be sitting here in the Insiders Facebook group for replay, so you can come back and work through it. But the big thing here is take action on this information, guys. We're going to continue to be bringing mastermind information to everybody in the Insiders group throughout the coming weeks and on into the future. Hopefully to bring additional value to you in your business and helping your business be successful. But this is only going to be of value to you guys if you apply it in your business, okay? And that's the key here. The stat that Scott showed with only 10% of people actually asking for the referral, you need to be in that 10% group, guys. Ask yourself, when's the last time that you nurtured a tree? When's the last time that you asked for a referral? If you haven't been doing any of that type of stuff, man, there's going to be a big impact about to happen in your business when you apply these strategies. So, Scott, I really want to thank you for taking some time to come in and share with our audience about this. Guys, my own personal story about Scott nurturing a tree, with all of this stuff with the shutdown going on, Scott's church group had some extra food and all this stuff from the restaurants, asked me, point blank, hey, know anybody who needs this, or could you guys use this? We graciously accepted. The next day I had the drop off of food. It's still been sustaining our family even to this day. And wow, what a great way to fertilize our tree and open up our orchard to allow Scott to come and present to everybody. And I just hope that this brings a lot of value to everybody out there, and that they can apply that in their business and see that uptick that I know it can provide. So everybody, again, thanks for joining. Rewatch this. If you do have questions, Scott's gone ahead and put up his email address there. Feel free to reach out to him as well. And who knows, we'll probably even be on in a future episode of the Mastermind doing some of that whiteboard training, Scott, that you talked about. I know we're going to have a lot more questions and things like that. Guys, if you do have questions, throw those down in the comments underneath this, and we can always recap on some of those. You can see Scott's got his shuffle card up, guys. Again, these are all things that can be components of your bigger overall business, whether you're leveraging Elify technology or you're leveraging some of these best practices. Make sure you're doing what you need to do to treat your business like a business, and then it'll treat you like a business owner, guys. So again, thank you. It looks like we're at the end of our time here. I'm trying to keep these right around an hour. So we want to say have a great one, guys, to the success of your business. And thanks again, Scott.
Thanks, ER. Everyone be safe out there.